Good evening, everyone. Good evening. A quick sound check. So, welcome to our Monday 5 p.m. session. And let's start with what we generally do, have a review of what we have done in spot last week, both in Nifty as well as Bank Nifty. And then we'll have a look at what has happened today in spot as well as futures. And then way forward for this week, which is an important one, considering that we have the monthly expiry of both Bank Nifty on Wednesday, which is 25th, and Nifty on Thursday, which is the 26th of September. So let's start with the weekly report, which is up on the website. And what Nifty, we start with the Nifty, and we have last week's report, which ended with this. The last week profile was a double distribution trend one to the upside and an outside bar in terms of both range and in terms of range. And we had an initiative buying tail, after which it formed a 3-day balance, and then we left an FA at 24941, followed by a DD zone. What is a DD? DD zone is a zone from where the auction is moved away uh, in one direction. So last week we already had the initiative buying tail at the start, and then we went on to extend it higher uh, with another extension handle at 25130 and closed at the highs. So I'll just open up last week's profile so we can see only the upper part. I'll open the weekly chart. So this is what we had done in the week prior to last Monday. So this was the double distribution profile which we was talking about, and this was the DD zone, roughly about 25280 to 25130. We left an extension handle, and it was mentioned in the report that the upper HVN of 25363 would be the reference for the open, and then we have the higher objectives of 25490 and 25905. So this was what was published before last Monday. So what happened last week? How did we fare? So let's open up that this last week's profile chart. This is the weekly profile of last week, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmerge this into daily profiles so that we can see what happened on day basis. We in fact had one session last Monday at 5 p.m. wherein we discussed about what we did on the Monday profile. So Monday's profile, what had happened was we opened with an A period buying tail, but that was negated, and we formed a very narrow range Gaussian curve. But what the Gaussian curve was doing was it was forming value at this HVN of 25363. So we were not bearish in any sense because this extension handle in the DD singles, which was the zone of support, was not broken. Was not broken. So what we did on Tuesday was again formed a similar range, and this was a 2-day balance which we had formed. So the 2-day balance was still forming value at this HVN, and there was no, it was just telling us that the after the imbalance of previous week, auction is got back into a balance mode. So Wednesday was one interesting day where we made an attempt to probe higher, move away from this value, because we did multiple range extensions to the upside. But these poor highs, the similar highs in the GNH, triggered a liquidation break. So what happened was we are not getting much demand also at these new highs. So that is why the auction probed lower and broke below the previous lows, and all went on to test this zone of singles. 25285 I think was the upper, no, 25269, which was right near the rollover point of the September series. We had mentioned about the rollover point when we spoke about the monthly report and when we started the new series of September. So, and we also mentioned, we emphasized why we give lot of importance to the rollover point. I'll come to that later in the session also, because we are in the expiry week, and now this is the time for us to look forward for the rollover point for the October series, which has happened, and we saw that evidence in Nifty futures today, where we saw some big numbers playing out in both the series. So I'll take you to that when we come to the order flow bit of futures. So before that, what we did on Wednesday was we tested this extension handle and we left a responsive buying tail. So responsive buying tail is telling us that the buyers are coming back here. So once this was done, we closed this as a neutral day and an outside bar with only reference was that this was being defended. So but for the buyers to take control, they had to move away from this value, which is now a 3-day composite with a prominent POC at 25416 and this value area high of 25364, which was right at that HVN reference which we had for the weekly in the weekly report. So after this, what we did on Thursday was we gapped higher, but the gap up did not get any fresh demand. In fact, we made marginal new highs just when the B period started, and after which we made a kind of a liquidation profile. It was a kind of B-shaped profile where after the B we kept probing lower and we got back into this 3-day value and almost tagged that value area low. So again, the attempt to move away from this value got rejected, and this for this we had this. We can consider this as a 4-day composite. The POC of Thursday was at 25405, which was almost overlapping with the 3-day one. So this is the 4-day composite we had when we opened on Friday. So in all these days, it is just evidence of a balance being formed, and at no point we were bearish. Yes, on the new highs, we were not getting enough demand for Nifty to sustain or extend to the upside, which is why we made a probe lower and we tested this extension handle. And we left this low was at 25285. So which was just above that rollover point of 25270. So what happened on Friday was we opened in this value and left an important buy side tail in this 4-day composite. So this is how that was the first indication that the buyers are now taking control over this auction. And then we went on to make a trending for the most part of the day, where we made these highs of H and I, and these marginal highs again signaled to us that there was some exhaustion coming in, and this led to a quick liquidation break in this I period. And this I period low, you can see how it stalled right at this halfback of A, which was at 25487. So this is why we give so much of importance to this A period references, because in spot we don't have volumes. We take these halfback as important levels to mark. And once this took support, it was, and we were above this value, the PLR, the path of least resistance for Friday, was always to the upside. And that is the reason we were expecting a move back to test these highs and repair these poor highs of the top. In fact, even in the VMR, we were looking at taking some call side trades after this dip, which took support in the A period TPO. In spot. In futures, it was taking support in the buying tail. And I think we had the ATPO, POC or VWAP at that reference. So from there, we were expecting a move back to the top. So that is what happened. And what we did was we formed a nice normal variation date upside, and we closed in a mini spike. So coming back to the weekly report, what we have done for this week is formed a neutral extreme one to the upside and with completely higher value. So it what we for the month of September, we are looking bullish and we have been on the upside. So it looks like we will end the month on a bullish note. So, but for that, what will be our references? We will need to stay above this daily extension handle of 25612 and then the Friday's POC of 25702. So these two were our support levels for today for this week. And the immediate reference would be this spike zone from 25806 to 25849. So holding this, our first objective on the upside was that pending 25905, which was also mentioned in last week's report. And now the swing one is revised to this 26454. So coming back to the profile chart, and let us see what we have done today. So I'll just increase this TPO size. So this is today's auction in Nifty. So we made a open above this. So it was a bullish open because we had accepted above the spike of Friday. But as we see in market profile, although the initial balance was bullish, we made new highs in the B period. We did not get any more range extensions to the upside post the initial balance. So that would have been our next long setup, but that did not happen. Instead, what we did was the seaside went into the AP rate singles. It broke below this halfback, which was clearly telling us that there is no demand now at this zone, and the auction may test the previous profiles references. So what we did in the F was we made a marginal new low. This low was right at previous day's high, and when we broke below the low and got into this range, we were immediately rejected. So this was a classic failed auction which got confirmed in Nifty spot today. So this level of 25847 is a failed auction, and it has come in the expiry week, so will be one important reference not just for this week but also for the new month coming up from next Monday. So now this is what we have done today is a formed a neutral extreme profile with a failed auction at 25847, and we have closed just above the IBH. The IBH of today is 25925. So this will be one immediate support we will have to look out for tomorrow. We need to remain above this reference for this FA to be in play, and the 180R from this failed auction comes to 26059, which would be our objective for on the upside. So in case we fail to stay above this, our the reference on the downside would be this POC of 25883, and we break this, then we will have the FA point as our main support. So if the FA is broken and closed below on any of the days this week, then the bullishness gets negated in Nifty, and we can have a probe lower for a test to this VPOC, which is also near the 180R of the on the downside. So this is what we have done on Nifty spot, and a quick look at the Bank Nifty spot before we move on to the futures. So So in the weekly report, what we have started doing from last week is attach this daily chart along with the hypos which we mentioned for the current day. So this is what was there for today's, and you can see how we have gone on to hit this high of 25959. 25960 was the reference on the upside, and we remained above this 25807 all through. And this objective of 25849, which was previous day high, was held, and the attempt to break below was uh, rejected, giving us a failed auction. So these hypos will get updated for tomorrow, end of the day today, and we will have that FA as a main reference, and the upside targets also would get revised accordingly. So that is how the Nifty spot is placed. We will come to the futures in a bit, but before that, let us get going with the Bank Nifty spot. So what did we do in Bank Nifty spot last week? Bank Nifty the week prior to that was a triple distribution trend, one to the upside, and it was a bullish close. So we needed to stay above this 51930 for a probe towards 52333 and 53100. This was our closing comments for the weekly report. And Bank Nifty was relatively a bullish index because the open gave us one initiative buying tail at the lows. So if I open up the profile chart, weekly chart, and we unmerge that and see what we have done all of last week. So this is, I'll just unmerge this and then we will talk about what happened on the weekly time frame. So you can see how we have left this A period buying tail right at this HVN. We had marked out that HVN of 51930, and when we have living an initiative buying tail at the start of the week, it tells us that the auction is bullish. We did make an attempt to get into this AP rate tail, and in fact AP rate tail almost got negated in Nifty, but in Bank Nifty we held on to that HVN of 51930. So that was telling us that the Bank Nifty is more bullish and it can give us more on the upside. And even if you talk about the macro picture, Bank Nifty was the index which was lagging. Nifty was month on month making new all-time highs, but Bank Nifty made the all-time high on 4th of July, after which it was making lower lows and lower highs on the monthly time frame. So this was the first time where it had got above previous month's high. The August high was at 518887, and once we got above that, that was holding, which was telling us that the Bank Nifty can scale new highs. So what we did after this 2-day balance last week, Monday and Tuesday, is we got another initiative buying tail on Wednesday. So this was very clearly telling that the initiative buyers have been entering Bank Nifty and forming higher bases. So once we had this level on Monday, our new reference became this ATPO of 52302, because this was near that value area high of the 2-day composite, and it gave us that move higher. And what we did here, we almost tagged that 4th July VPOC of 52961. We made a high of 52956, I think, and we formed this double distribution trend day kind of a profile, which is similar to what we have done today. I'll come to that. But today's after this, it was very clear that we have this extension handles and this buying tail. So as long as we are staying above, the Bank Nifty is looking bullish. So Thursday we had a gap up and we opened higher, but the highs was right below that all-time high of 53357. We made a high of 53353, and then we did not get any fresh demand. So what we saw was profit booking by the buyers and a B-shape kind of a profile, a long liquidation profile, but the probe lower got rejected at the entry into previous value. So this is a very classic sign in market profile that the auction is getting support. And this VPOC not being tagged was another important uh, sign. So what we did on this day, in even though we formed a B-shaped profile, the value was completely higher, and this POC became our reference for the Friday session, last day of the week. And last day of the week, we remained above this POC, and what we did was we negated this selling tail. We made new all-time highs in the initial balance itself. So which was telling us the Bank Nifty is definitely looking for new highs, and we went on to make new highs at 53712, I think, was the HTPO high, after which we got this is afternoon liquidation breaks are normal when you are having a trending day up, but the extent of the liquidation does not have so much of a fall. More often we get defended at VWAP, but that was not the case on Friday. It was a deeper move cut which we saw, but nonetheless this IP rate got stopped right at previous value. So N53100 was this previous weekly VPOC, which was now showing us change of polarity. So these are terms which we use often in our session, and we keep mentioning them, repeating them again and again, that once a level is broken, market profile gives us clues that that level is now become a support. It is not a blind support or a resistance level, but the auction shows us that it is getting defended again and again, because we left that AP rate buying tail there, and then this low also got defended there. So once we got defended in previous value, Bank Nifty went on to spike higher, and although in futures we did not get a big enough spike, in spot we went on to swipe higher to 54066 in that MTPO. Although the close was almost 200 points lower, but it was very clear that the Bank Nifty has closed in an imbalance, and we could expect that imbalance to continue. So this was a spike, and we had the spike rules in play. So the closing comment for this week was the weekly profile is a trend one to the upside with the initiative buying tail, and then we have couple of extension handles at 52284 and 52486. So as a result of this, we have formed completely higher value, and we have this spike zone from 53712 to 54066. So this is the weekly profile, and you can see it is an elongated one, and we have tails at the bottom and a spike at the top. So what we did today, coming back to today's chart, I'll just increase the TPO size so that we can. So what we have done today, we have got accepted in the spike zone. We never broke that spike low of 53712, and we have left one important A period buying tail. And once we got accepted in this spike zone, and with this A period buying tail in play, it was always on the cards that we are going to get above this and probe higher. And I'll show that on the futures chart also how we were ready for a move above that big round number of 54,000, and we took some good call side trades. So this happened, and we left a extension handle. The extension handle is not very clean on the spot. Yes, it is at around that 54,000 mark, but we went on to almost double that range on the upside. And what we did was we left similar highs and came back to test this previous day high of 54066. So the close wise Bank Nifty has made a bullish start for the week, and this extension handle here of 53990 would be a reference, along with this buying tail which we have for this week. Because we are above the spike, the PLR continues to remain on the upside. So this is how we are placed in spot. And as I mentioned, even on the spot, we have this daily chart of Bank Nifty along with the hypos for that particular day. So this was what for we had for today, and this 54414 is one big swing objective I'm expecting for this week. So later, if we continue to form higher value on these days, we can expect this 54414 on the expiry day of Bank Nifty, which is on Wednesday. So we will update these hypos on the report end of the day today, and we will have the hypos for 24th of September, and accordingly a new chart here. So now let us switch to the futures chart and first have a look at what the Nifty futures has done, and we will compare that with the order flow also. So I'll have the profile chart on my left and the order flow chart on my right. And I'll also cover one more point. So we'll have a look at the 15-minute order flow and see how we opened today and what was the open type, so that accordingly we could know what we are looking for the day forward. So this is today's opening 15 minutes order flow chart of the Nifty futures, and we have the profile chart on the left. So the open was bullish because we have opened above previous high, and what we saw in the order flow was a kind of a drive up when we saw the profile, but on the order flow it was not too convincing, because what we did was, first thing is, we did not close around the highs. So in case it was a more bullish open and it was an open drive kind of a scenario, we would have a good green bar with a close around the highs, and then we would have continued extending the range to the upside. So what we did here was, although the first bottom part of the bar was fine, the upper part did show us some reds, and then we did not get any continuation in the next bar. And then when finally we made new highs in the start of the B period, it this big LLT was left as an RS, responsive selling pattern. So then it was telling us that the longs are not coming in, although we did not see much of supply at the open, because of which we got these new highs in the B. There was not much of the buyers were not able to hold on to this new highs and extend. So in fact, when this broke VWAP at the close of the B period, it was actually a signal that Nifty futures may probe lower. The open type was an open auction because we had 37,000 contracts, which was just above average. In case of a drive, we will need to have at least double the average volumes. So that was not the case, which is what negated that it was not a drive open. And then we could not extend much to the upside. So I will come to the LLTs part also, and we will compare and we'll see why we had so much of LLTs, because we had rollovers coming in for the month of October. So what I'll do here is I'll just quickly open up another order flow chart so that we can compare the September futures with the October ones, and we can see how the LLTs were showing up parallelly on both the series. So it is an important week, and we will need to be very careful when we are looking at the LLTs this week, because in Nifty the LLTs, the rollovers start happening from the Monday of the expiry week, and it goes through till till Thursday, sorry. But in Bank Nifty, most of the rolls happened on the last 2 days, which is Tuesday and Wednesday. So we can expect these kind of LLTs coming in Bank Nifty from tomorrow onwards, tomorrow and day after, and accordingly look at where the rollovers are happening the most, and which will form our basis to identify our rollover point. So I am putting up the order flow chart of both current as well as the next series, and we'll have the 15 minutes so that we can quickly do a review of how to identify where we are getting rolls. So I'll come to the 9:15 chart and we'll just quickly run through the day so that we can, and I'll also do a quick review of how the Nifty futures, which was looking bearish and looking good for a range extension down, stopped giving that sign. So on the left is the 15-minute order flow of September, and on the right it is the October 15 minutes. So you can see the first half is fine, and the first big number which came when we are making these new lows was here in the 11:30 and the 11:45 time, where we got this 4,000 green and 3336 green, 1295 green. So this is where we can compare how at around the same time we got these big numbers in the October series also. You can see this 2370, 4067, 3181, 4169 red right at that 26,000 reference in October series. So this is how we identify roles, and this is why we need to be very watchful about these LLTs in the last week of the month. So what is happening here is the rollovers are being built up, and these rolls are not for intraday or not for a single session or the week. These rolls are being built up for the entire month of October. We had similar such rolls being built at 25270 for the September series. So from there we have seen how we got a move down and then we got a move higher. So we have made new lows and new highs from that 25270 level. So it is important for us to make note of these. So even in the September series, I was mentioning how the break of VWAP in this 10 p.m. bar was a short trade, and we are looking for the range to extend lower. But what we found was RB bars. And once we made those new lows, we saw big greens coming in. So this was very clearly telling that the downside is getting limited and it is not getting enough selling. So and order flow LLTs are one, but we need to let it be in sync with the 10 bar cot and also the order flow signal which we are getting. Just because the cot is red does not mean we need to look for a short trade, because many people were expecting a gap down today because of the big red cot which we had in Nifty futures and Bank Nifty futures on Friday close. So for going short along with the red cot, we need to have an IS signal. The I initiative sell side signal is very important for us to take a short position. If we are not getting an initiative IS signal and only a 10 bar cot is red, we will not take any short trade, because that is telling us that this is more of longs booking out rather than fresh shorts adding. Because if they are fresh shorts adding, we would get an IS initiative selling signal and we would get a follow through. So if I'll just go to the 30-minute order flow chart, and I'll just take you to how we closed on Friday. So on Friday, when people saw this minus 16,000 caught and minus 23,000 caught on the 30 minutes and big reds into the close, they were expecting a gap down. But you look at the order flow signal, this is a IB bar. There is no way you can call this an IS bar. So if the 10 bar caught is red, you'll definitely be skeptical to remain long, to stay long, but you'll not go short when you're looking at a order flow bar like this, where the IB is in the middle, we have got a follow through, and then we have closed at the highs. So for us to get bearish today on this red cot, we needed to have an IS signal which would have broken these two NPOCs. So we would have initiated a short trade only on the confirmation of an IS on 30 minutes. So unless that comes, we will not be looking to look for a short trade. In fact, the IS signal did come today on the 30 minutes, and this was matching with our view because we did not get uh, much of sustenance above the IBH level. But what we got in the probe lower today on the 30 minutes was these huge greens. So when you're getting these big greens and RB bars, it is telling you that there is no point in holding on to the short position. So once we got back above VWAP, we were always looking at a good move to test the highs of the day. So this is why it pays to look at both the order flow of the current series and the next series and mark out these HVNs. So you can see these are rolls which are building up, and we will need to see on the daily time frame what the market profile chart turns out to be. And even into the close, you can see how this 3122 green in the 130 was matching with this 3070 red. You can see the time timestamp is the same, and just when we got this 3122 green in the September, we got a similar red in the October series. And even into the close, we got some huge volumes. You can see this 4389 and 2235, and similar volumes had come at this POC level in the September series. So definitely you need to keep both these charts open for till the expiry is done, and need to be aware about which volumes are rolls and which volumes are LLTs which are coming in fresh or maybe just covering their positions in the current series. So this is as far as the Nifty futures is concerned. So what we have done today is we have formed a normal day. We could not break the IBH and we marginally extended IB. We could not break the IBL and we marginally extended IBH into the close, but that also we were not able to sustain. So when you see, and I'll just switch this to the 30 minutes. So in fact, we have this IB bar on the 30 minutes. So today's VWAP would be our reference, and this POC, which is matching with this VWAP of 25,900, will be the reference to watch in the Nifty September series for tomorrow. If we are holding above this, we can expect an extension higher. So this is as far as we are holding in Nifty futures. In case we break below this VWAP, our next reference would be this big RB POCs of 25861 and 25858, where we got those big greens. So if that is defended, we can expect that the buyers are still holding this zone. In case we break below this, then we can look for a probe to this VPOC of 25770 from Friday. So this is how we are based in Nifty. A quick look at the Bank Nifty profile along with the futures, and we will see how we got an important range extension and a signal to go long. And I'll also show that with one of the call option trades which we did in the room today, so that we can sink in how we use the order flow with yet another latest example. And as I mentioned, Bank Nifty does not show so much of rollover activity on Monday. Even Tuesday, the first half is generally quiet. It is only after the second G period on Tuesday we start to get some big numbers. And Wednesday, definitely being the expiry day, it will give us good references of where the rolls are happening. So the open type on Bank Nifty futures was also an open auction out of range. We opened above previous day's range and we left this A period buying tail. So and what we did after that was we remained above VWAP, and in this high of B we saw an RS forming and a big seller coming in, a big seller in terms of the day. So otherwise 465 is not that big a number, but in terms of this J, 465 was the biggest seller of this bar. So that what that did was it kept the auction in a narrow range, but you can see how we kept defending the VWAP of the day. So when you have this kind of a structure being played out in market profile and order flow is showing you defense at VWAP, you can always expect the main trend to continue. So as long as this A period halfback of 53814 was holding, we were looking, sorry, this is, yeah, 53814 was holding, we are looking for more upside. And we were patiently waiting for that breakout above this RS point. This RS had come at 53979, and we were talking about this and discussing it in the room that above 54,000, which is a big round number, we would have lot of shorts stop loss being placed, and if we sustain above this RS, all those shorts may come out and we can get one squeeze on the upside. So we were waiting very patiently for that, and that signal came to us in this 1 p.m. bar. So this was a very classic case, and why you can see the rows of greens which was here, and you can see how it held on. So once it takes out one level, that needs to hold. So which is what it did. We got a row of greens, and then that extension handle where the RS was there previously, the IBH was never hit again. So this was what told us that the Bank Nifty is headed higher, and immediately we looked at what call side trades we could take. And when we went on to make this new highs, here we got this RS bar. So here we can see that you have almost hit one objective. We were expecting that 54151 and 54215, which came on. So we booked that calls and then we trailed the rest at cost. So after this, we got this RS and the dip lower. You can see how we have just taken support above that 54,000 number, and we have got zeros on the sell side. So this is how we will have to watch the order flow and take trades. I'll take a quick example of the call trade we took of 53,800. And how the order flow gave us such clean signals. And because we are aware about what the background was and how we were looking for a extension above that 54,000, this is where we got that first signal in this call, 53,800 call at 1 o'clock. We got the confirmation, I think, around the same time in Bank Nifty of breaking above that IBH. But here you can see we are above VWAP. This is the white line is the POC in this option. And above the VWAP and the POC, we have got this IB bar. So this is a very good signal of looking at long side trades in this call. Our stop loss would be the lows of this IB, or more conservative stop loss would be this POC, which is aligned with the VWAP at 330. So what we went on to do is we went on to extend the IBH. This yellow dotted line is the IBH of that particular option. We even broke about that with a good green bar, which was telling us that we can expect the 2IB objective in this. So this IBPOC would then become our reference on the downside, and we look to remain long in this call. So we remained above the IBH. So now you can see how after breaking above IBH, we took support at that level. So this is what tells us that the trend is still in play, because it is taking support at higher references. You can see zero at the sell side, and this is a higher high which we have made and higher low which we have made, and we have given an RB here, and then which was followed by another IB. So as long as this is in place, we can definitely expect more upside in this. So this POC becomes our reference to remain long after that IB, and because this is the POC before this IB bar, and we can expect more upside in this option. So which came in this breakout in the K period, and K period is one TPO which we always are extra alert, and we look at that to deliver more often than not. And in fact, we had a discussion in the room where some of the guys were asking if they need to hold on to the call, and we told them that you need to wait for the K. And as soon as the K period started, you can see in this 215 bar, this is the first 3-minute bar of the K, how we have left zeros right at the new highs and gone on to make this new high. So when you're leaving zeros in this kind of a bar, this becomes your support, and then you can expect it to run as long as you don't get a RS bar or an IS bar. So once we got this bar, which has gone deep into this green bar and closed below the zeros of this bar, it was very clear that you need to come out of this call, and the upside was done. So this is how we traded this option. And although this IBPOC is still holding, which they was still holding at the beginning, we needed to take off this NPOC for us to expect a spike higher. But when that did not happen and this broke, this call went on to tag the lower references in the order flow chart. And in fact, we have got an IS into the close. So we will need to see how this call reacts when it comes to VWAP, and look at this first signal which we got today of the IB here. If this POC holds of 350 tomorrow, then you can expect this call to give us more upside. In case we at the open we go on to test this, and on the upside, if you look at this closing order flow of this call, what would be your references for tomorrow? We will need to take off this 478 POC above the IS bar. So we will be bullish on this call only about this. Else, we will look for a test of that 350. And this 398 is that RB POC which we had taken as our trailing stop loss. So this will be the immediate reference. 398 and 350 will be our important levels on the downside. And on the upside, we will have to take off this 478 level for a test of this 536 zone. So this is how we are placed in Bank Nifty futures. If we look at the profile chart, we have formed a double distribution profile. We have a extension handle at the IBH of today. So that will be the reference, and the VWAP is also around the same level. So you can see this 53981, which is the VWAP of today, would be the reference. In case we are breaking this VWAP and getting IS signals, then the upside will get upside view will get negated. Else we can expect fill up of this zone, because you can see you have a tail at the top and a irregular kind of a structure at the upper body. So this could get a fill up in the first half of the day, and then we can look for a continuation of this probe. Else what can happen is, if this selling tail, the responsive selling tail holds, and we get an initiative selling tail tomorrow in the A period and we break this VWAP, then we can look for a test of this zone and this VPOC. So this is how we are placed in the Bank Nifty futures, and we will need to be very careful about the order flow and compare the order flow of the October series also along with the September in both Nifty as well as Bank Nifty futures before we take trades. And market is at an important juncture. We have had a very big run up. So for us to continue, we will need to have the 10 bar caught in sync with the order flow signal. So we need to be patient. We need the signals to fall in place, and only then, as per our process, we will need to look into enter trades. So in case there are any queries, I will be happy to answer them before we wind up for the day, guys. So question about the order flow is already been addressed, and we saw how the LLTs in Nifty were more rollovers which were happening. So all these references will get updated in the report. The weekly report will have the updated hypos, and we will have a daily report also published on the futures part, wherein you will get the futures references for tomorrow's auction. So thank you guys for joining in. That is it from my side for today, and let us have a great trading week ahead. And let's keep in touch via this platform and look for some good learning opportunities going forward. In case you have any queries, you can please message me on Twitter. My Twitter X ID is at Uttam Goel, and you can also bring your questions in these sessions, and we'll be very happy to answer them all. And if in case you want to take your trading to the next level, then we would suggest you join us in our mentoring room, the VTrender trading room, where we have all like-minded traders sitting together all through the market and discussing and taking trades. So that'll be the place. You can have a visit at our website and look in for what option you would want to go for. Yes, Sagar, when the statement comes, that will be updated by Shai, and you will have a latest tweet from him, because he's very generously updating live data on X. So you just keep a note of his posts, and you'll definitely be notified about it. So as of now, we have studied what has happened today. We have seen lot of rolls coming in, and which will be the case all of this week. And once we see that the 10 bar caught matching with the order flow signal, we will know what the big boys have planned up for. So thank you guys for joining in, and have a great evening. Signing off.